It was the third live-action movie featuring one of the most radical comic book, cartoon, and action figure brands of all time, hitting theaters at a point when it seemed the end of the franchise was looming on the horizon. But before they could confront their future, they would have to first deal with the past. Hi, I'm Dan Larson, and this is the history of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3. Thank you to Magic Spoon for sponsoring this video. Click the link in the description below and use code TOYGALAXY for $5 off your order today. Magic Spoon is breakfast cereal reinvented. It's the cereal you loved as a kid rebuilt for you as an adult. They have the technology, the shape, the color, the taste. This is the science of today, upgrading your yesterday. Magic Spoon has 0 grams of sugar, 13 to 14 grams of protein, and only 4 net grams of carbs in each serving. Also, only 140 calories. It's keto-friendly, gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free, and low-carb. Taste connects us to the past. It's fruity. It's 1986. I'm at the toy store. There's a robot in my hands. It's cookies and cream. It's 1991. There's a turtle who knows karate surfing through the sewers. Build your own variety pack with maple waffle, honey nut, and a whole bunch of other awesome flavors. You can add the cookies and cream and cocoa peanut butter flavor cereal bars to your variety box. And don't forget, Magic Spoon ships to Canada and the UK. Magic Spoon is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 100% happiness guarantee, so if you don't like it for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Use my code TOYGALAXY for $5 off your delicious and healthy Magic Spoon cereal. Go to magicspoon.com/TOYGALAXY to save $5 today. Thanks again to Magic Spoon. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, released in 1993, is the third live-action feature film based on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles created by Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird in 1984. It is simultaneously a step forward and a step backward for the franchise, which, if my math is correct, means it didn't go anywhere. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are back in action, fighting crime from their abandoned subway tunnel home under the city streets. They continue to train with their sensei, the wizened old rat master Splinter, despite a growing sense of futility about their place in the city and their lives ahead as adult-sized hybrid karate creatures. The brief existential crisis is interrupted when they are visited by their good friend, adult human television journalist April O'Neil. She's brought them gifts from the flea market to raise their spirits. For Leonardo, the leader, a book about Japanese swords. For Donatello, who does machines, a vintage radio. For Raphael, who is cool but rude, a fedora. For Michelangelo, the party dude, a literal lampshade. And for Splinter, who taught them to be ninja teens, a strange artifact that she thinks might be a Japanese antique egg timer. Meanwhile, back in 1603, Prince Kenshin, son of Lord Norinaga, has accidentally discovered an identical egg timer after trashing the offices of several royal priests. Lord Norinaga has developed an uneasy alliance with an Englishman named Walker, who can provide him with guns and gunpowder to win the war Norinaga is waging to expand his power throughout the region. Norinaga's efforts are being thwarted by a band of rebels from a nearby village led by a girl named Mitsu, who happens to be in a relationship with Prince Kenshin. And that's when fate intervenes. Both egg timers, time scepters, are activated, causing the people holding them to switch places in time. Prince Kenshin is brought to the future while April O'Neil is sent to the past. The four turtles immediately reactivate the time scepters to follow April back in time to 17th century Japan, exchanging places with 4 members of Lord Norinaga's honor guard. With any luck, the bulky samurai armor and masks will disguise them long enough to save April and return to the present, because they only have 60 hours to switch everyone back or be turtles in time forever. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 is a direct sequel to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles II, The Secret of the Ooze, released 2 years earlier in 1991. Both films building off the mythology established by the first film, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, released in 1990, movies that we have previously covered on this channel. And of course, building on the ridiculously popular franchise that we have also covered that reached into every possible medium of entertainment in existence at the time. The first comics were published in 1984, and by 1988, they already had an animated series on TV and a full line of action figures on toy shelves. 2 years after that, the Turtles were featured in their first live-action movie, presenting exciting new storytelling challenges, new groundbreaking visual effects, and setting records with a whole lot of ticket sales, proving that the Turtles could dominate movie theaters the same way they had already dominated comics, toys, cartoons, and video games. Franchises like the Ninja Turtles, directed at kids aged 3 to 10 years old, tend to have a short shelf life. 2 years to a 6-year-old is an eternity. For the Turtles cartoon to have already lasted 3 seasons and still be strong enough to make the successful leap to live-action movies in 1990 is an aberration. There are hundreds of other cartoons that never made it past a single season. We have covered many of them here on this channel. The production studio for the first two films, Golden Harvest, and distributor New Line Cinema knew that they had to take advantage of what could be a very small window to produce more movies after the success of the first film. It would be fair to say that perhaps they should have taken just a little more time to make Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2: The Secret of the Ooze. Despite an increased budget, several sacrifices were made along the way, choosing instead to rush it out to theaters in less than a calendar year from the opening of the first film. Longtime fans, new fans, and just regular people with eyeballs were quick to pick up on the fact that the Turtles were no longer allowed to use their weapons, and that the entire film turned into a music video showcase for Vanilla Ice, capped off with basically the same ending as the first movie, where Shredder was presumed dead. Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird weren't happy with The Secret of the Ooze and had higher hopes for a third film, as well as an ambitious plan to bring all three tiers of the Ninja Turtles media franchise together. They intended to sync the comics, the cartoons, and the movies with a Turtles story that told different pieces of an epic time-traveling adventure. It would kick off in the comics in April and May of 1992 with the two-part story Masks, written and illustrated by Michael Dooney. Masks follows the Turtles as Renette, the Time Mistress, uses the Time Scepter to project them all back in time to feudal Japan in the year 1373. She needs their help to find the origin of a mystical threat that has begun to bleed into modern time. In the past, they battle against a giant mutant lizard samurai and his evil wizard boss. With Renette's help, they are able to defeat the threat and return home, a series of events that also gives birth to a new ninja clan that calls themselves the Foot. The cartoon series featured an episode in October of 1993 called The Legend of Koji, which finds the Turtles traveling back in time through the use of a time travel device created by Shredder. Transported back to the year 1583, the Turtles meet Shredder's ancestor Oroku Sancho and Splinter's ancestor Hamato Koji. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 was the third part of the media trilogy, going into production with a reduced budget around $20 million, and reduced participation from Golden Harvest based on reduced expectations. Where the first film made over $200 million against a budget of roughly $13 million, Secret of the Ooze only made $79 million on a budget of around $25 million. It was assumed a third film was going to perform even worse still. Because surely the kids had grown up and moved on to other things. That must be why Secret of the Ooze had underperformed. Not because of the quality and compromises, the quick turnaround, not because of ninja rap. The reduced budget for Part 3 meant that they could no longer afford Jim Henson's Creature Shop. It meant that the team responsible for the costumes that brought the Turtles and Splinter and Toka and Razar to life in the first two films was going to be absent from the third. Instead, All Effects Company would attempt to deliver the same quality viewers were accustomed to at wholesale prices. They were the effects company behind the Energizer Bunny and Johnny Five from Short Circuit. They had worked on TV shows like Max Headroom and Alien Nation. The suits did look and function differently. Some have said that they look worse, others have said they look terrible. I submit that in this genre of adult-sized hybrid karate creatures for 3 to 10-year-olds, really, what's the difference? Folks, let's remember why we're here. Did you get to see a wisecracking turtle monster cartwheel ninja kick a dude in the face or not? You asked, and cinema provided. A reduced budget also meant that some considerations were going to have to be made to potential characters and storylines that might pop up in the movie as part of the comics movie cartoon shared storyline. The giant reptilian samurai, the devilish sorcerer, and Renette the Time Mistress from the comics were all definitely getting dropped. The fire-breathing dragon from the tsunami box in the cartoon wasn't going to make an appearance, but the artwork in Norinaga's temple in the movie clearly depicts the 4 Ninja Turtles, suggesting that they have been here before, and as Norinaga himself states, these demons defeated his ancestors and have come back for him.
Hey, all right!
They're back.
Hey, dude!
Back in time.
Check it out! We're in ancient Japan!
New Line Cinema presents
It's Wet Willy time!
the greatest pizza twirling, sword swinging,
Here, hold these!
head banging
Hello! Goodbye!
Turtles in history.
No way!
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3.
You were expecting maybe the Addams Family?
Rated PG. Starts Friday, March 19th.
The rolling hills of Astoria, Oregon would have to substitute for 17th century Japan, as shooting overseas would have been too costly. A Hollywood-friendly city with access to shoreline, mountains, forest, and urban environments, it was the perfect location for films like 1979's The Black Stallion, 1985's The Goonies, 1986's Short Circuit, and 1990's Kindergarten Cop. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles III was written and directed by Stuart Gillard. He was a Hollywood veteran, having written for TV shows like Captain and Tennille, Sonny and Cher, Donnie and Marie, and Mork and Mindy. He had directed TV shows like My Secret Identity, The New Adventures of the Black Stallion, and Max Glick. Returning cast members included Paige Turco, who took over as April O'Neil in Secret of the Ooze. Elias Koteas, who was conspicuously absent from the second film, was back in dual roles as Casey Jones in the present and Double Agent Wit in the past. Brian Tochi and Robbie Rist were back as the voices of Leonardo and Michelangelo, respectively. Corey Feldman was back as Donatello after spending the second movie in rehab. New to the series were Tim Kelleher as the voice of Raphael, James Murray as the voice of Splinter. Ninja Turtles 3 was released in the US on March 19, 1993. It brought in over $12 million in its first weekend with practically no competition for the demographic. Aladdin was in its 19th week. Homeward Bound was in its 7th. Turtles earned over $42 million in the US and an additional $12 million internationally, bringing it in just over $54 million total, the second highest budget of the three films, the lowest box office receipts. Was it a franchise that had refused to grow up with the 3 to 10-year-olds who flocked to the first movie 3 years earlier? Was it the creative compromises or just plain turtle fatigue? Reviews were dismissive if they gave it any attention at all. Hal Hinson of the Washington Post noted, quote, "If the first sequel was a photocopy of the original, this second sequel is a tracing of a photocopy. It's the same business twice removed and twice diminished." Marjorie Baumgartner in the Austin Chronicle said, quote, "These Teenage Mutant Ninja epics are not really mind-numbing so much as mindless, and it's unlikely that any new chapter in the series will ever rival the first installment for its sheer originality of concept." Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 was released on VHS and Laserdisc in 1993. Like the two previous films, it ran into some censorship in the UK as the turtle weapons and the word ninja are offensive to the Queen. Their version cuts out a few shots to make sure English kids never find out what nunchucks are. Those changes are restored for the DVD release and every release since. There have been 2 additional Blu-ray box sets released along with the 2 previous films. As of this video, you can stream it on Amazon Prime, Tubi, and HBO Max? It's day to day. The official soundtrack for Ninja Turtles 3 is a disappointing mixed bag of 1980s hits mixed with a Technotronic song that sounds exactly like the other Technotronic song, and a re-release of the original song Turtle Power by Partners in Crime from the first movie soundtrack, a song which does not appear anywhere in the third film. But if we could be serious for just a moment, this soundtrack saved my life. Haunted for years by a tune I could not place, a primal call ringing in my ears since the mid-'80s, a melody I had only heard on a Listerine commercial the year before. I couldn't place it, so decades before the invention of music identification app Shazam, I had no choice but to sit by the stereo night after night, all night, with a cassette tape queued up, ready to record, obsessively flipping from radio station to radio station, hoping someone would play that song. That cassette tape has 27 5-second clips of Duran Duran's Hungry Like the Wolf because it's kind of close and got way more play. I don't know why Baltimore's top 13 hit from 1985, Tarzan Boy, was included on the soundtrack for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 8 years later in 1993, and I do not care. I only know what the relief felt like when I finally purchased the Cassingle. By 1993, there was already licensed Ninja Turtle merchandise everywhere licensed merchandise could be placed. From what we could find, very little was actually produced specifically for the third film beyond items like backpacks, puzzles, keychains, posters, and pins. There were toys, of course. After skipping movie-inspired toys for the first film, Playmates released figures for Secret of the Ooze and Ninja Turtles 3. 10 figures total in 1993 covering all 4 turtles: Splinter, April, Walker, Kenshin, Mitsu, and Warlord. They were complemented by 4 giant movie star turtles with designs inspired by the turtle suits from the movies, and 2 additional giant movie samurai figures, Raphael and Leonardo, samurai warhorses with a castle guard and a rebel soldier. A turtle pult that came with Elias Koteas' Wit character, roleplay costumes for Samurai Mike and Raph, a samurai sword, and then in 1994 a Shogun series of figures that chromed the samurai armor of the turtles and rolled in characters from the comics and cartoons like Shogun Shredder and Shogun Shoat. Topps produced a card set, Dell released the novelization, Archie Comics published the official comic book adaptation. A Japanese comic published in 1994 called Mutant Turtles 3 is loosely based on the movie. More recently, you could have been the owner of one of these screen-used suits. The Leonardo, Raphael, and Donatello suits have all come up for auction in the last few decades. Hopefully they are together again in the hands of one wealthy collector. Like the reviews of the film itself, time has not been kind to the suits. On the bright side, NECA was likely inspired by the rotting Leonardo head when they designed the 2022 Mummy Michelangelo figure. As of this video, NECA has released modern action figures of characters from the first two Ninja Turtles films and the Coming Out of Their Shelves live-action concert tour, but have yet to announce figures from Ninja Turtles 3. Surely it will be on the schedule of announcements after ALF ships later this year. There has been some confusion over the years as to what the title of this movie actually is. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 was a sequel with a number as opposed to a sequel with a title like the second film, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles II: The Secret of the Ooze. However, when the film was released on DVD and Blu-ray box sets in 2009, the cover of the movie features the name Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3: Turtles in Time. Some people have thought that this was the title of the film since it was originally released. I am here to tell you that those people are wrong. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Turtles in Time is the name of the arcade game that was released in 1991 by Konami as a sequel to their previous smash hit arcade game, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, released in 1989. That naming was carried over to the Super Nintendo in 1992 as the third home gaming sequel, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles IV: Turtles in Time. All of that before the release of the third movie. Understandably, a name that would have become associated with the time-traveling adventure, but still totally wrong. Ninja Turtles 3 did not kill the Ninja Turtles franchise. It was certainly part of a general slowing down or phasing out of Ninja Turtles as the once dominant franchise that it was. Many normal kids grew up and moved on to other things. That said, plans were being made for a fourth film, and if things had gone just a smidge differently, it is likely that it would have been released in 1996. Ninja Turtles creators Eastman and Laird had already developed potential concepts that the movie would have explored. Tentatively titled Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4: The Next Mutation or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4: The Foot Walks Again, the third sequel might have seen the Turtles and Master Splinter experience secondary mutations that also endowed them with new powers. There was a potential fifth turtle named Kirby, and the whole thing would have taken place in a post-apocalyptic world where an evil version of April existed, but none of that ever happened. Instead, The Next Mutation was used for the 1997 live-action Saban-produced series that introduced fifth turtle Venus de Milo, which we have also already covered here. A decade later, the Turtles were back in theaters, animated, but still, it counts. TMNT was intended to be an official, unofficial sequel, picking up after the events of the trilogy, acknowledging them through trophies in the Turtles' lair. Shredder's helmet, horned samurai armor, a canister of ooze, a time scepter. It seems to suggest that this is, at the very least, a timeline where similar events occurred prior to this film. The Turtles, Casey and April O'Neil, adjust to life apart as fate has taken them in different directions. They come together once again to defeat a brotherhood of evil warlords and 13 monsters unleashed on Earth 3,000 years ago. Released in 2007, it was the second most successful film after the first film from 1990. It is likely that the franchise would have continued on with animated features if not for the purchase of the Turtle franchise by Viacom in 2009, then relaunching again as a hybrid live-action animated movie franchise in 2014. In 2014, Kevin Eastman said of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, quote, "What we tried to do with the third movie was make it as good of a story as we could. We went through a painstaking level of do's and don'ts, what they could and couldn't do." He continued, "We wanted something that would be good for all ages again. I call movie 1 the best, movie 2 the worst, and movie 3 halfway in between. What more should you ask of a third Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, of any third chapter in a movie franchise? Delivering a film that is, quality-wise, halfway between the first and second chapters is actually a very high bar to clear. To date, this is the best we have from the Turtles. This is the only version of the Turtles in theaters to survive long enough to make it to a third chapter. That achievement speaks for itself, for where the popularity of the franchise was in 1993. Not the end, but rather a moment in time to build a future on." Thanks for watching. Please hit like, hit subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. Thank you very much to those of you who already are. If you're in the position to help the channel grow, if you would like early access to the videos ad-free, please visit our Patreon at patreon.com/toygalaxy. Check out our new merch store at beanscannon.com, and let us know in the comments down below if you agree with Kevin Eastman's ranking of the 3 live-action Ninja Turtle films, 1, 3, 2. For me, the weirdest thing about Ninja Turtles 3 wasn't the changes to the turtle suits, the new voice actors, the time travel plotline. It was the idea of going all the way back to feudal Japan and being samurai? Really? Not, ninjas like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? It's right there in the name.